I'm AJ.
And I'm Tenilej.
And we are Surviving Adulthood.
Surviving Adulthood.
So today we have a special guest on, and we are talking about living in your dash. Living in your dash is basically your journey. What have you been up to? What was your journey to get to where you are today? And we're really excited to have you on, Rashad. I've been Googling you and looking into your website and your Instagram, lightweight stalking, but I was like, okay. But Tenil, kick us off and tell our guests who we have.
All right, so we have Rashad Lyons, who is the CEO and founder of S.T.A.B.L.E Goods. It is more than what you would say than a luxury travel bag that they provide, but they're really in tune with the urban culture, whether it's like music, fashion, just community, everything. And so we are here talking with him to see what he has going on, and especially now during Rona, and what can we expect from him in the future. So welcome, Rashad.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, go.
It's a pleasure being on. Sorry about the timing of everything, but I'm excited to finally be here. I think the first time we did this was a couple of years ago. Actually, at my birthday event I had, right?
Yep. Yeah, almost like a little over a year ago. Yeah. 2 years ago, right? Was it 2? Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited. Let's get into it.
All right. Well, I've been seeing you. Excuse me. Sorry. I've been seeing your bags with different people. So it seems like you are really expanding your brand. More and more people are getting to know who you are and what you guys provide. I even seen that your bag might or was already in a movie or will be in a movie. Mm-hmm. So how has that process been, just growing from the last time that we all met with you?
Well, it's been dope. I've been extremely blessed to have a product, or my first product of my full line, to be accepted the way it's been accepted by, everyday people like myself, celebrities, entertainers, athletes. It's been really, really cool to, have something that's an idea that you just picked up from just being a regular neighborhood kid who loves sports and loves tennis shoes, to growing up and then, falling in love with traveling. I've actually traveled a lot of my life with sports and also with my dad living in New York. But, as you travel and you get older, you start to really care about what you take on a trip. Mm-hmm. So, figuring out how to make those two things, work together has been dope. And then taking it from that to, kind of getting picked up by, one person will notice it and show it to somebody else. And then somebody, I guess, really popular would see the product and they ask questions about it and purchase the bag too. So it's been dope. And as far as like the bag being in movies, my mentor is Deon Taylor. And before I got into before I started my own company, I used to work with him in his office back in Sacramento. I met him when I was 21 years old. And then he's a film director and a producer. He has his own company. It's called Hidden Empire. His film list goes from Intruder with Dennis Quaid, Megan Good, and Michael Ealy to Black and Blue with Tyrese and Naomi Harris. Those are his films that he's put together. And my backpack has been placed in The Intruder, and now in this next upcoming film called Fatales, and it's in that movie as well. So he's just been amazing with just plugging the product placement wise, to get more eyes on the bag. So that's how you've seen it in films, moving forward.
That is exciting.
Right.
Yes.
That's very exciting. So are you from the Bay Area? Like, where are you from in the Bay? I know you're from the Bay, but like, where are you from?
Right. So I'm from Richmond.
Okay.
I grew up in Hilltop.
Okay.
For most of my childhood, moved to New York for about a year and a half, 2 years, and then came back, and then we moved to El Sobrante which is like down the hill from Hilltop.
Mm-hmm.
And then pretty much been here ever since.
That's amazing. I love just hearing like the success stories coming from the Bay. And so that was one thing when me, Angelisa, and Tenilej sat down and we decided to talk about living in your dash and like your series, or our series that we've put together for this, because we wanted to bring on people that are from the Bay Area and that are doing things no matter where they came from, where they grew up, what neighborhood they grew up in, and to be able to share that journey. So just to hear like, you know, like you were in the sports and you were traveling. I love your bag. I said, I'm about to write my list and everybody needs to, my dad, my grandpa, I want one, my son. So I will be placing my order because I just feel like that's really important. And also you just being, you know, African-American male and people seeing that it doesn't matter, you know, like no matter who I am or where I came from, my goals are reachable and they're in arm's reach. So I appreciate you for coming on and sharing, you know, more about your journey and your story with us.
Yeah, thank you. And it's thank you very much for that. You know, it's just a trip, you know, how you what motivates people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I can say about myself is I've never really been motivated by money. I understand how money works, how it can grow, right, to get to where you want to. But creativity's been my number one thing.
Right.
And if you look at some of my early like sketches of my first adaptation of our company, the Prelude backpack, it just came from growing up, you know, looking at graffiti the way I looked at it, right, and then looking at tennis shoes, kicks, obviously, like air bubbles. I'm 37 now, so the 90s is what motivated me a lot, right? So like the way they use materials, and then if you notice how the product looks, has an athletic feel to it, but then we add luxury like fabrics and materials and metals to give it that, so it can be able to live in two different worlds as opposed to just being one lane for athletes or one lane for luxury. And then the functionality of it too, just all came from growing up, you know, understanding how to pack the correct way on a trip, right? Like I hate like people, you think traveling, right, you got to pay $35 to check a bag and $35 to come home with that same bag. That's $70 on top of your trip, right?
Right.
And your ticket might be, say if your ticket's $700, you're paying 10% of what your cost is just off of carrying the luggage piece alone. Yeah. So I look at, you know, how we can make, I can save people money by, you know, if they actually go in and purchase the product, and just all those different things come together. This allowed me to get to where it was, but just all came from a creative process. And yeah, man, so I love what I do, and I'm big on, you know, people going and trying to do something on their own. Like this podcast is dope. It's a platform. You guys own it. You do whatever you want to do on it. You can have your own types of conversations. Can't nobody tell you how to say what you want to say, right? It's your own creative process. Right. So like this type of stuff is, you know, exactly what motivates me to want to continue to, you know, make different products, how to make products work for what you guys look to do. I know if you guys travel when you do your podcast, if you plan to like do a podcast at the Essence Festival, or right, where you're gonna put your equipment in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Yeah. So those are the types of ideas I get from just following your guys' journey. So as much as I motivate you guys, and you guys motivate, I motivate you guys to understand it's like the same exact thing.
I love that.
Well,
and I also noticed how you had like the special department for shoes. So I was like, oh yes, sneakerhead.
Right. It's funny because it's inspired by shoes, right? But I can tell you, I would say 25% of the people I've sold to probably buys the product for shoes. It's everything else. Makeup.
People love their shoes. People care about their shoes. Like I don't do that. So.
Yeah, but just anything with value. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because I mean it's a great looking bag, but also too, you know that the items that you put in the bag will be safe.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's great. Also too, what's the story behind the oatmeal bag? That's a special edition, right?
Yeah. So the oatmeal bag,
fire.
Right.
I have two bags that's my favorite. That, and it's the green one, right? Do you have a green one?
we did like a friends and family test run. My green backpack is
This green's my favorite color.
Is that the one that's in the back, the oatmeal one?
This is the green. This one right here.
Yeah, that green one, and then your oatmeal.
Yeah,
What's the stories? What's the stories about behind both of those?
So this is the oatmeal one right here. This is the one.
Yeah, fire.
That's what I said. I was like, I need that.
So all right. Let me. This can get long winded. So let me try to figure out how I can shorten this up. So for the oatmeal backpack, we actually me and my best friend. Oh, let me shout out my team too: Lenedra Baker, James Pye, Charles Brown, obviously Deion Taylor, Omar Joseph, Stevie Johnson. That's pretty much the team of people that I kind of pick and pull from in different aspects. So Charles Brown, Chuck, that's my best friend since the 5th grade, right? He's the first person to put the idea in my head. And it was just on a random trip to Atlanta. And he was like, yo, we're going to be out there for about 4 or 5 days. What shoes are you taking? I'm like, shit.
That's a big question.
Right. Yeah, it is, right?
Days, right, you know, and you got shoes that you need to be everyday life. And we're walking everywhere, MLK, Memorial, the whole 9, right? So I need walking shoes. I need shoes for party, right? And then you need maybe a pair of hard bottoms just because we didn't know what to expect going to clubs here from the Bay Area. Like some clubs, you couldn't get in if you were a dude unless you had on some hard bottoms.
Right.
I'm glad that era was over. By the way, I hated that shit. Oh, excuse my language. I hated that.
Oh no, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you know, I was like, I'll probably take about 4 or 5 pairs. I wear a size 13. He's like, so how you gonna pack all those shoes? I know you're not gonna put them in your luggage piece and check them, because the most important thing I travel with is my tennis shoes, because a lot of the shoes that I've purchased, I can't get for the same price, and they're sold out because they appreciate with value. So if you lose your shoes, you're not going to get fair value from it. I got to go pay 3 times what I got them for initially, right?
Right, like so, grab a few outfits if, you know, whatever, your suitcase is gone, you could go grab you some clothes, but your shoes.
Right, yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's where it kind of first started. So I just put everything in a duffel bag for that trip. But when we got back, I did some research and tried to look around and to see, you know, what product can be able to fit me. I felt was, you know, stylish enough for me to want to rock with. I didn't find anything. So I'm like, okay, well, if I can't find anything, and I'm like one of those people who look like I look for everything online, right? Like, say if it's a pair of shoes I'm thinking about buying, I'll be online looking for sales and coupons and shit for an hour. I do like really, really like thorough searches online, so I couldn't find anything that I felt, you know, made sense and it's fit me. So from that point, I'm like, well, there must be a market for it, right? Okay, so if there's a market for it, then how do you go about doing it? And then from there, if you push forward to about a year and a half later, we got our very first prototype, and that's pretty much how we got to the product for the green backpack. That was my very first prototype, like 85% prototype. And I just thought it was dope, so I got enough to be able to sell to some people just to get their feedback from it, and obviously they all loved it.
Right.
So that's how the green backpack came about. This was a while ago now. So the oatmeal backpack, same person. We're looking to close a deal with a very influential basketball player, and it's not done yet, so I don't want to put too much of it out there. But the oatmeal backpack was supposed to be a denim backpack at first. Supposed to be all denim. And we were going to do this campaign. We can distress it yourself. And so we got the denim sample in, like the prototype, and the material it felt kind of like cheap. So I'm going to put a product out there that feels cheap, and I'm going to tell people to go distress it down. And then when they distress it down, it starts to like tear up. Yeah, that's a bad product for everybody.
Right.
So, and at the same time, Chinese New Year is something major. So factories start to shut down early, and the factories I go through, I get my bags manufactured in China. They were getting ready to take our last order and then pretty much stop production for the year. So I'm not lying to y'all. I was downstairs and me and Chuck were looking at the denim backpack, and we were like, man, this material isn't something I want to go into production with. Like it's gonna look good when you get it, but once you take it through the rigors, and it's going to start to wither. It's going to start to fall apart. The denim isn't good enough. So that same night, I actually emailed my chain manager in China, and I said, look, y'all gonna hate me for this, but you gotta stop production on the denim backpack. Like, stop. Wherever you guys are, just stop. And then I was like, we're doing a test with the denim right now, and it's not gonna hold up to it. And I'm not gonna place the full order to even to bring to the States to be able to sell, because people are gonna get the bag and you're gonna complain about it. That's gonna be bad for everybody. So within that same night, me and Chuck were like, okay, we're ready. We were waiting for their response to say yes or no. So we started like doing research on other types of colorways and things like that. And then we were like, it's hard because I have a black backpack already, I have a red backpack already, right? Olive green, I want to do something special with later on down the line. So we weren't ready for that as of right now. So we were like, what colors can we utilize? So we like, let's do a two-tone bag with an accent color. So that's why the oatmeal, like the front panel is oatmeal color, the sides are like charcoal gray, and the interior is orange, right? So within like a 3 or 4 hour turnaround time, we came up with this colorway, and then we couldn't even get a sample for it because we were so pushed behind. We just had to say, okay, like, gotta go off of faith, right?
Right, step out there.
Yes.
Right. So these are like, I'm sure you guys might know, like swatches, things like these.
Yes.
Color panels. So I have like thousands of these around this house. We were just taking swatches and matching them up, like full like 4 hours, right? And that's how we came up with the idea. And I just had to trust God to say, yo, this bag should be able to be a success based on how it's supposed to look. And luckily it came out, and it's like by far like the most popular. The pre-sale did the best from the black and the red. And also I can say, just because I had more time with this one, so we have a bigger following now than we had back when I dropped the black or the red. So that's probably why it's being well received the way it is. And the reason why it's like limited edition is because we didn't order as many, and there's different features on this bag from the other ones. Like there's other pockets. There's a luggage strap on the back. So people go through like airports and they can attach their backpack or the duffel bag to like a luggage piece, a roller bag. Right. This bag actually has the exact same feature. So that's why it's more limited edition. And yeah, it worked. Praise God.
Yes, stepped out on faith, and just having that vision, and like also having that team behind you that's gonna motivate you and like push you and be like, you know what, that's a good idea. Put it out there and let's see where it goes.
Right.
So,
you always need always need a good team. Question for you also too. So now that more eyes are on you, the oatmeal bag is being well received by many, many people. Where do you see S.T.A.B.L.E Goods fitting in with the community now that you're like in a different place than you were like when we met 2 years ago?
I think it's gonna fit in well. And my ideas, I feel like, are right on target with things I used to be a part of when I was younger. Growing up in Richmond, I played for Richmond S.T.A.B.L.E. And then, it was a traveling team. So we traveled all across the Bay Area, sometimes Southern California, to play other teams. But I always felt like there were other companies that would help raise money for the travel, right? For the kids, for the youth. So what I plan to do around the holiday season this year is to do something with Richmond S.T.A.B.L.E. to where we take purchases from whatever items that, we take proceeds from whatever item we plan to launch around that time. And then we do like food drives and giveaways, and we do specific things like help host basketball tournaments. One of my close friends, Darren, actually does basketball tournaments, so we can be able to provide jerseys and things like that. And as we continue to grow and get bigger, that's going to be, every single product that we plan to release, we're going to give proceeds back to cities in need, right?
I like that. Yeah. And I'm like, let's definitely partner after this and connect, because I work with a nonprofit organization in Oakland, and they have a sports like sector. So that's amazing.
Right.
To be able to partner with you. So.
Right. Yeah, and that's actually dope too. So we should talk, because I have a conversation. We're on a conference call with with a very influential NBA player on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the first part of what we plan to do. So, like, timing is everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, this is the perfect time. So
It
definitely.
is. Yes.
And we're also
okay.
doing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Okay, and also, you guys are familiar with Black Wall Street was, right? Back in Oklahoma City.
Yes.
Oklahoma, excuse me. So before everything kind of went bad, they were doing so many dope things, right? Like the Black Dollar was figuring itself out. And as you know, I did I think, you came, I had a store I did for the holiday season in 2009, in December 2009. So that exact same mall, they want to put me in a different space on the main strip of the mall and keep have a long-term space there. And what I'm going to be doing in my space is I'm going to sublease out like a table or sublease out like a wall space for a reseller for tennis shoes or for like a clothing brand. I feel like it works well with the product that we're going to be selling.
Mm-hmm.
We keep like urban abstract look mixed in with like luxury goods with a touch of sport. You know what I mean? But we're big on like up and coming artists, up and coming designers, and just have them be able to sell their product directly in our store. And hopefully that can be, and we're going to be in the Pleasanton Mall, which is in one of the higher paid demographics within the Bay Area. Yeah. And I want to be able to let that be the first, be the first thing we can do to be able to start to build out and let people who don't have the know-how, because I didn't know how to do it at the beginning, how to be in the store and how to check your orders and how to be able to market through a place with like ongoing traffic to where they can build up enough money to open up their own store, their own boutique or things like that. So that's the other part I want to do for the community as well, show people how to get it done throughout our store and then let it grow. Yeah.
So I'm glad that you brought that up, because I was going to ask you, what does, now that you have your feet wet and moving forward, how can you, I don't know, share the information and your success and maybe pull someone else up with you?
Right. I first thing I would do, everybody has a different term of success, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like us as human beings, especially being Black, we got everything we need to be able to be dope. It's just the work ethic behind it needs to be shown the correct way, right? That's just the only thing that kind of separates us. The creativity is already there.
Right.
So the one thing I would tell anybody is that I wouldn't say look at success, because I don't deem myself being successful yet, just because I know where I want to be at, in the next year to 2 years or 3 years, right?
But you are, and it's just continuing to grow.
Right. Like the growth is still there. So I would just say, man, whatever you do that with like love and passion, right? Don't think about the money. Don't think about the what you can get out of it. Just think about stay in your own lane and think about how you can grow within yourself. Because if you do something just based off of love, it doesn't feel like work. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like work at all. Like,
it's that grind, people stop falling in love with the grind and the passion behind your vision. So I'm happy that you shared that with us, because even just hearing the different things and how you're, giving back to the community that matters, because youth are looking at this, young adults are looking at this, even older people are looking at this, and like hearing how, if I got this vision, I could reach out to you and say like, okay, I got this clothing line. I see you got this store. Can I learn from you? Can you be my mentor? That's important. So.
Right. But I can tell you, it's almost impossible to mentor somebody who doesn't really love what they do. It's just impossible.
Yeah.
When it gets tough and when it gets hard, it just starts to feel like work, right? And that's the test. Running your own business, right? Being an entrepreneur, you get tested in so many different ways. Like it's a trip. And people, if you listen to anybody influential from like Jay-Z to Puff to anybody, right? They all will say like you're gonna get to a point where you're gonna really, really get tested, and that's when it's gonna be the most important part for you to want to stay through it, and that's the hardest part for people to be able to get through, because they just can't get through it because they don't love what they do. You know what I mean? So it's when you love it, it's easier for me to get up out of that and get to the next phase, right?
Have you, do you mind sharing one of the moments that you felt that you were being very, I guess, extremely tested to see if you have the knack to go to the next level?
Right. Shit, I got all types of those.
Right.
Give us one or two, so,
Yeah.
so especially us, like you said, this is our podcast and we have a vision and we're trying to just constantly connect and grow and, just receive any information, especially great information from
Right.
people such as yourself.
Right.
So let us have it.
So the first time I really got tested is because I didn't go to school for any of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go to school for it. So the hard part for me is the business side of it, right? Because I didn't know it. You can be taught that, which is, and for me, the easier portion. I mean, the harder, the easier part of the hard part, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So everything up front was all creativity. It was sketches. It was materials. It was like fun. It was so much fun just creating a product. But the business part of it, how to sell it, how to make sure it makes sense, how to make sure you set up your accounts to where, the cash that you're receiving for each purchase goes into an account that's not coming into your wallet, because
Right.
it's easy to spend the money once you get it. It's like getting cash and putting it in your pocket, right?
Yeah.
Over 2 weeks for me, if I have like $500, that money gonna be gone, right? So
Right.
learning how to set those things up, right, is what you want to be able to do. And that was hard for me at first. And I think just because I didn't know how to set things up. So that was really, really difficult, because when people start to really get eyes on it, right, you say, okay, now how do I scale up? How can I make the product be in front of more people? And we have amazing platforms like Instagram where you can be able to pay for advertisement, set the demographic to where who you want to see, but that shit gets expensive, right?
Yeah.
You have a funnel to where you think it's the funnel of 10% funnel, right? So say if you have 1,000 followers on Instagram, right? Out of that 1,000 followers, 100 people will probably see and react towards your product. Out of that 100, then you got to go 10 people to probably turn around and purchase that product, right? Mm-hmm. So you look at that, okay, so how do I make my 1,000 followers go to 5,000, go to 10,000, go to 20,000? Then you can maximize upon that funnel to be, so all that stuff I didn't know. So actually, that was the hardest part for me, because for a while with the red backpack especially, even though people were buying and they loved it, I didn't do any any pop-up events. I was all online, but I had 500 followers. So once I got to a certain amount of back-to-back selling online, I was like, damn, man, nobody's really adapting to the product, but everybody seems to love it.
Right.
So that was a hard part for me starting off. But then I was able to turn it around, because I started just to go to festivals, and I started to go to trade shows and events where I can be a vendor. Right. And that's why I do most of my selling. Even to this day, I if you look at my numbers to where when I'm at a physical location, or if I'm looking at what I'm doing online, it's a blowout. The physical location blows it out every single time. So that's a difficult part. And now you look at where we are now, right? In this pandemic, I put in a lot of time and a lot of work, and this was a major test, because, like I said, storefront, new product we're getting ready to release, smaller products getting ready for the summertime, day parties, traveling, all that shit came to a stop because of this pandemic. You know what I mean? I can't even get a sample because of factories being shut down, and I can't do a photo shoot because the rule of 6 feet, you know what I mean? So this is another portion nobody was able to predict. We had a chance to predict it that's a different story. But I couldn't have done nothing about this until we've been shut down for about 4 weeks now. So now it's okay, the challenge is, how do you pick yourself up and just stay motivated to get ready for when we're pretty much unquarantined, we can get back into the mix of our regular lives. So this is another good portion. A good example of what I mean by a test. So.
So going into kind of living in your dash and and just to reiterate, it's what you're doing in your now time before it's time for you to go and cross over. What was that aha moment for you where you were kind of like, you know what, this is what I'm gonna do? Where did you get that clarity from? Like, this is my calling. I'm gonna make sure that I am in line with this mentor, that I am doing this and this to set myself up for success. What that look like for you?
Well, I think that I have a ton of ideas that I've always wanted to do. And one of my close friends, her name is Michelle. She's a barber, and she's been running her own barbershop now for 10 years. But before that, I went to high school with her. She used to cut out of her garage. And I was going back and forth with her. And then she was like, man, you have 20 ideas you want to do, man. And she was like, that's all fine and dandy, but you have to focus in on one. So focusing in on one of the ideas was, I think, me having to choose the backpack, right? The company S.T.A.B.L.E as being that first thing. I think that was the first part, the first time I was like, okay, well, this is going to be exactly what it's supposed to be. This is my calling. And when I first got everything going, I was working for a tech company in the city, in San Francisco. And the way some companies are structured is once they kind of go public, the CEO has a specific amount of time to be there until he can actually leave. So after he leaves, the structure changes, right? So my position in the company, which they created around me, it got, I guess they said it got dissolved, right? So I got laid off. And during me getting laid off, I was like, man, you know what I mean? Like, I got this company going, I got a family, I got this, I got that. And that's where I was pretty much pulling my money to fund everything else. Right. So when that happened, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, maybe like a day later, 2 days later, somewhere in that, I got an email from a trade show called Agenda. And Agenda is, they do it in, one is in LA and the other one is in Las Vegas, and they do it around Las Vegas Fashion Week. That's the one I went to. And you have to get invited to be a part of it. And then that allowed me to be in a whole different space at a major trade show. And I guess that was my real sign of saying, yo, everything is going to be okay. This is exactly where you need to be at, because you lost something that you were using to fuel your company, which was taking time away from everything I was doing.
Right.
But now I can be able to put that time towards everything else. And this showcases, kind of like our coming out party. And that's when the bag really started to get picked up. Like, really, you know what I mean?
Doors opened up. So even though you might have didn't understand at that time what was happening or why it was happening, you needed that shift. So
yep.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, it's hard, for all of us to like walk out on faith. And it was like on this time, it forced you to. Like, it's now or never. So
right.
Sometimes that's how God works. He's like, well, you're not gonna do it yourself. Let me slam the door for you.
You see the vision. I planted this vision for you. So
yeah.
And that's how it works. And I think about like all the times, like it's I can tell anybody, man, like, again, do it with love, because this shit gets hard.
Right.
Like, really, really hard. And there's been times where I have to figure out, man, I have to pay bills. I got to pay, rent. We got to pay daycare. We have to pay. That's just regular life.
Yeah.
And I would just, have to just understand that God is going to meet you halfway. I don't know what the halfway point is, but I know what my effort can be, right? So if I'm pushing, if I'm going, He'll make sure I'm okay. So again, doing it with love, there's no time to be lazy. You know what I mean? Because it's a job. I mean, it's not a job. It's something I want to be able to do. And just because of that, I've been able to get myself out of like, sticky situations financially, just based off the fact of, me chasing it with love and me saying, I know that God got me. Let me just make sure I can meet Him where I got to meet Him, and He'll just get me to the next level. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Based on that, go ahead, Tenilej.
No, go ahead. No.
I was just gonna say, based on that, in your whole journey that you're currently on, and you mentioned that you are not at where you used to be, but I mean, you're not at where you want to be, but you're not at where you used to be. And that's just uplifting for a lot of entrepreneurs. That being said, do you have any advice for someone that had 18,000 ideas, or they just can't really figure it out? They don't have that clarity and they don't know what to do. Like, should I network? Should I find a mentor? You know, do you have any advice for those types of people?
Right. Yeah. So I would say before you reach out to anybody else, you need to make sure that whatever you're putting out there, whether it's music, whether it's a product, you know, backpack, t-shirt, make sure that your idea is put together the correct way. Right. Think about you going into a place to meet with somebody and you got one shot, right? One shot. All that prep work got to be done first, right? Mm-hmm. All of it. Like, so for me, I was at 85%. I went through at least 7 different prototypes over a year and a half before I came up with the green backpack.
Nice.
So that's the time I put in leading up to showing it to somebody else to get their feedback on, right? Because it wasn't ready. So I would say you got to be ready. If you're not going to put the time in to be ready, then you're going to go in there halfway. And if you go in there halfway, and somebody be like, well, you know, it's hard. It's easier to take on, like, take criticism the wrong way.
Right.
If you don't believe in what you have. So I would say make sure that you know, end of the day, man, I got something that's dope, right? Yep. And hopefully it can speak for itself. And even if it can't, the passion behind the time and the effort I put into it would help bring it to where it needs to be, right? And then after the passion, I mean, with those two things, it's like you have like a security blanket on. So somebody might give you a negative look, or somebody might pause before they react to what it is, right? Or they might not tell you what you want to be able to hear, but you already know that you're prepared for it, and they might just not be the best fit. What can go wrong in that is like, damn, this guy told me that he didn't like it, or she told me that she thought it was too big, or the shirt might have been too thin, or was too thick, or they couldn't see themselves wearing it. If you don't have full confidence in your product, and that confidence is built over you working, right? Working, like I play basketball, so for me, basketballs have supreme confidence in themselves. So they don't really care what teach them because they know they're nice. That goes the same way with anybody else if they're passionate about something, right? So that would be my number one thing of advice, man. Make sure all your stuff is done for your product. So when you take it to somebody, you want to blow them away. And even if you don't blow them away, even if they give you some type of like negative remark that you might take the wrong way, that confidence is what's going to keep you like, okay, you get that off my shoulder. It's not a good fit for them because I know my shit's gonna win regardless.
Right.
It's like you have to have that confidence that 40-year-old rapper trying to still get on has. Like, it's still, you got to keep it going. You got to
know your demographic. That rapper is a great analogy. Know your demographic. Have a plan. Who do you want to go after? If you're trying to sell something, like who is your targeted demographic? Like who are you going after? Why are you going after them? How much money is made within that business, that industry annually, right? So now it just gives you numbers. So just talk about the backpacks. Like my backpack fits in 4 different demographics, right? It's functional, style, athletic, and it's luxury.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I was like, okay, let me see what I will look at companies like Nike and Supreme and something else like, say, Champion, right? And let's see what their accessories, their travel bags do annually. Take that number. Okay, now I can put my bag up against Coach, against Tumi, right? And let's see what they do on the travel side, right? Okay, let's look at Gucci. Let's see what they do on like the bottom scale, right? And I take all these different numbers and demographics. I'm like, shit, we fit in all these different things. For me, I knew what I was going into when I talked to somebody about the product.
Right.
So I'm already hitting them. Like, look, we hit 4 different demographics. This one does $300 million a year annually. If we tap 10% of that projection, we are at $3 million a year, right? You know what I mean? Like, that's just pretty much.
You found all that out without going to school. That is just so empowering for so many people because they always feel like they hit a wall if they're not in school or what have you. So to know that you figured all that out and you know that you need to have your data and have your ducks in a row like that, I think that's extremely inspiring.
It's just about building up that confidence. You want to know exactly what you're going into. And like I said, we talked about for a rapper, like if you're a 40-year-old rapper, right? you got to know who you rapping to.
Right.
Right? Like you have life experiences that a 20-year-old or a 17-year-old ain't even gonna care for. They don't really care about what you did when you were 17 because that shit was what 23 years ago, my math, whatever. Yeah, 23 years ago, whatever. So, but you can talk to 35-year-olds and 32-year-olds about what they're going to be expecting, and then 40-year-olds about what you're doing right now, right? And then that's your targeted demographic. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And like you said, just believing in your vision, because you know what it is, and like doing that prep work behind it so that you can fully advocate for, you know, like what you're doing. So
right, yeah, that's it. That just gives you the supreme confidence
right
in yourself, right? Like you know, and then naturally, I'm an Aries, so I naturally get defensive, but I know how to check. I know how to check myself too. I can check myself too, right? So, you need to get like it's passion.
Right.
It's passion. You think about the people who I guess are looked at as being like leaders of our generation, right? Like the Jay-Z, like that's one of my favorite people. You know what I mean? Like
Puff.
Jay-Z don't really like Puff. Perfect example. You think about Puff when he was younger, nigga. Puff, you couldn't tell Puff nothing.
Right.
Puff used to flip out, take his shirts off in meetings on the table, jump up and down.
Work ethic.
Right. And Puff is, he's labeled as being a billionaire right now. Even if he's not still, like, that ain't come from just, like, being insecure about your product, right?
Right.
I'm not saying Puff doesn't have insecurities because we all do, but he knew that his product, what he's putting out there, was going to pop.
Yeah.
And people didn't believe in Craig Mack. They didn't believe in Notorious B.I.G. at first. They didn't get it.
Right.
Yeah.
Shit. Puff was like, no, y'all come with me. We gonna make it work. So, I mean, it's simple. That's as simple as that. Break it down to understanding who you look at, who you look up to, what they did to get started. Because not that many people just got thrown into the fire and just been successful for 5 years right there. Like, here today, gone tomorrow. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another point, too. Another part of it, longevity, you know, is a real important piece because, like you just said, you like, oh, what happened to so-and-so? Like, you know, they were all over the internet, stores, everywhere, and then now they're just nowhere to be found. So, you know, what is your plan in regards to staying around to really having your stamp, especially since this series is about, you know, living in your dash? How do you plan to sustain the your brand?
Well, I think that I picked the perfect line to go after, which is travel goods. So one thing that we're doing is makes it easier for your company. That allows you to compartment your personal goods when traveling. So each product that will be options that from the mids to the large size items, right? Mid size meaning duffel bag, backpack, smaller backpack, large size meaning sorry, I don't know what just happened.
Nope, we all good. We can hear you.
Yep.
For us, you know, traveling isn't going anywhere.
Right.
And then you look at other companies that have done well over the course of time, they aren't going anywhere as well. Like, you want to continue to do that, and that's what I plan to do as well. Continue to make travel goods. Like I said, the best part about our product is I've been blessed to be able to catch the eye of influential people. So you have the ability to make like limited edition products that will be, you know, that can be purchased in small run. You know, like say, for example, tennis shoes, right? Like you can buy a pair of Jordans whenever you want to, but when Jordan does a collaboration with like Travis Scott or Virgil Abloh, right? That shit sells like that, right?
Yeah.
And you bring it back out just to keep the pulse going, right? And I speak directly to, you know, the urban culture. And as you know, like we are the urban culture, us being African Americans, we are picked and pulled and borrowed from more than anybody else. So, you know, that's exactly who I deal with. So those are the plans to stay along for a good amount of time. And then, you know, working with like professional teams, licensing deals, traveling companies. Those also are the things we're looking forward to kind of stay around for a good amount of time. And then creativity, right? And confidence. You know, I want to build something to where, you know, we're looked at as being one of the biggest luggage companies on the planet. You know, so that just comes with creativity, hard work, and hustle. You know, and that's how we get there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You will.
Yes.
You will.
I
For
can't-
sure, for sure.
Like I can already see it. I can envision your vision in my mind. Like,
Right.
yeah, I'm like going through the airport. So yes.
Right. It
I
is
have
dope
one
because.
last.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and the biggest like connoisseurs of bags, backpacks, fanny packs are women.
Right.
So creating that line, like women have, you guys, compared to me, I might have 3 or 4 backpacks, right? Why if she got 6, 7 backpacks?
That's
like,
right.
Different purse for different. So that's also where we want to be able to close the gap for too. We have unisex style products. It's not just made for one, for a man, or for a woman. It's unisex, so everybody can feel like they can adapt to the product. And you're starting to see that with our photo shoots we've done from this year are incorporating more women wearing the product because they're some of the main people that buy the products when I'm at a pop-up. You know what I mean?
I have one last question. So what is the first thing that you guys will do once Rona leaves us be?
I think everybody's going to be excited to travel. I think traveling is going to be the first thing people are going to want to get up and go do. So we're gearing up to do a campaign, if all goes the correct way, with influential NBA a basketball player. We're going to do a huge online campaign with what we have now because we can't do a photo shoot or a video shoot just because you can't have that many people in one space.
Right.
And we're going to let that launch to kick off, getting ready to travel. And then right after that, we're going to take over that space in the mall I was telling you guys about and having a storefront that's going to last at least 12 months. We're going to do a 12-month lease, at least.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's gonna be dope. The other part where you were in Stone Ridge, they're shifting you to another side.
Right. Yeah. So in Stone Ridge, if you upstairs, we're upstairs next to Nordstrom.
Mm-hmm.
That's like we were like off from the main strip of the mall. So
right.
Now we're gonna be in the main strip of the mall. If you're like, the Apple Store is considered center court. So say if you're walking out of the Apple Store and then you go to the right, we're going to be down to the right on that south end of the mall, downstairs, right across from Champ Sports and yeah.
Good. Mm-hmm. Good.
Well, we sure do appreciate you joining us on this fine Saturday via Zoom. If you want, we would love to see your bags one more time and let the people know how they can reach you and how they can tap in.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so the website is S.T.A.B.L.E, S.T.A.B.L.E, Packs, PACKS.com. 3 different backpacks. I have actually one of them right here. That's the one I showed you guys earlier.
The green one.
No, the green one he's gonna bring out later.
Oh, I'm so ready for that one. This one is fire.
Me too. Yeah, it is.
Laptop compartment on the side.
Yeah.
Laptop, tablet can all fit back here. The luggage strap is right here, like I was telling you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Rainbow zipper to get you to the interior.
Yeah.
And there's a mesh that keeps everything in place. So if you are traveling with electronics or things you don't want to have shift around those same place. If it is tennis shoes, it's a mesh. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. So it's breathable. And on the inside, you have your compartments.
Yeah.
And they're retractable. So you can move them around.
Yeah. For all my camera people, that is perfect.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's the product we have out now. And it's doing really, really well. So And we also have black, and we have red also. I just don't have those upstairs with me. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. We've
Yeah.
sent people to your website, so we're gonna make sure to
Right.
all these links below, and then
Right.
they
Right.
can check out for themselves. Make sure y'all add some stuff to the cart.
Absolutely.
100%.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
thank you so much. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, and we're gonna definitely keep you connected. All of our viewers, you know how to reach us, Surviving Adulthood Podcast. Stay tuned, stay connected. The links will be in the description.
All right.
Oh,
Bye.
So-
thank y'all. Everybody stay safe.
Yes.
Yes, you too.
Soon. I'm gonna reach
We
out
do.
to you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
All right.
Bye.